If your team runs cloud workloads, AI services, developer pipelines, or internet-facing infrastructure, today's security question is simple. Which patch changes your blast radius first? This is Daily Tech Hack Global for July 9, 2026. The facts in this briefing come from NBD, CISO when reachable, and linked vendor advisories. I will keep the discussion defensive, no exploit commands, no payloads, and no step-by-step attack chains. The lead item is CVE-2026-54763. NBD describes it as, Traefik is an HTTP reverse proxy and load balancer. Prior to version 2.11.51, version 3.6.22, and version 3.7.6, Traefik's basic auth, digest auth, and forward auth middlewares strip canonical cased spoofed identity headers before writing Traefik's own value, but do not account for underscore variant header names, which many backends normalize identically to dashed forms. An attacker able to reach a protected route can inject an underscore variant header that survives Traefik stripping and reaches the backend alongside, or on the on-off. The recorded severity is critical with CVSS 10.0. Why it matters: prioritize by exposure, privilege, reachable credentials, and whether automation can amplify impact. The second item is CVE 2026-40141. NBD summarizes it as, a high-severity vulnerability exists in a web application component of Beyond Trust remote support and privileged remote access related to the processing of certain input parameters. Insufficient validation of user-supplied input may allow an authenticated attacker with limited privileges to access unintended resources or data beyond their authorization scope. Exploitation is restricted to accounts with specific permissions. Severity is critical with CVSS 9.9. The operational takeaway is to map this advisory to exposed systems, service credentials, and any automation that can turn a small weakness into a larger incident. Item 3 is CVE 2026-40139. A critical pre-authentication vulnerability exists in the authentication subsystem of Beyond Trust remote support. Improper processing of authentication requests may allow an unauthenticated remote attacker to bypass access controls and gain unauthorized access to the appliance, including accounts with elevated privileges. Exploitation requires a specific authentication configuration to be enabled. Severity, critical, CVSS 9.8. Defensive context, prioritize by exposure, privilege, reachable credentials, and whether automation can amplify impact. Item 4 is CVE 2026-12481. A vulnerability in Keras team/Keras version 3.14.0 allows for arbitrary code execution due to improper handling of deserialization in the Lambda layer. Specifically, the _raise_for_lambda_ deserialization function fails to enforce the safe mode guard when safe_mode is set to none, which is the default value when from_config is called outside of a safe mode scope context. This logic error conflates none. Severity, critical, CVSS 9.8. Defensive context, prioritize by exposure, privilege, reachable credentials, and whether automation can amplify impact. Here is the defender checklist. First, identify whether any affected product is internet-facing, reachable from CI systems, or reachable by AI agents and automation. Second, patch according to the vendor advisory, not just the headline score. Third, review service accounts, API keys, pod identities, OAuth apps, and tool credentials that could be reused if the affected system was compromised. Fourth, add monitoring around unusual admin actions, image polls, tool calls, authentication failures, and outbound network requests. Fifth, document what was patched and what was deferred so tomorrow's team can audit the risk instead of rediscovering it. The larger lesson is that AI security is not only prompt security. It is the security of runtimes, cloud services, tool connectors, identity boundaries, and the operational process that decides what gets patched first. Patch what is exposed, reduce what is privileged, rotate what may have leaked, and make automation prove what it is allowed to touch.